Part of what makes this conflict so difficult to get a handle of is the terminology that gets thrown out. There's a lot of loaded statements. There's a lot of semantics involved that is making this more complicated for the public than it needs to be. For example, when Netanyahu addressed the world regarding the Palestinians and Hamas, he referred to them as Amalekites.
You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible, and we do remember, and we are fighting. Our brave troops and combatants.
Not Americans. Not like, what the hell is that? What's an Amalekite?
It did not matter. Just as in the Bible describes Amalek as preying on the weak and the elderly. That this is what they do.
Well, if you go look at the Old Testament, the Amalekites are an enemy of Israel from 4,000 years ago. And in the Old Testament, like the book of Joshua, book of Isaiah, you can find verses where God tells the people of Israel to kill everybody, to remove their memory, to kill children, women, babies, everybody. I just think that is lost on a lot of people. Remember, they're the Amalekites. Remember what the Amalekites did to you. The general public does not know what an Amalekite is. They don't know the history and the fact that you're calling for basically the genocide of a people in the open genocide. This is like, it's wild to me that they would make that reference. And most people that I've spoken to don't really want to make a statement or pick a side because they don't know who's right and who's wrong. And we have these narratives of like the good guys versus the terrorists. These people in Gaza are living in an open air prison, 25 miles by 5 miles. There's a huge iron wall around them. They're under the tightest of surveillance. Nothing goes in, nothing goes out. They have been oppressed for like 75 years. You know, Israel comes out and they're like, they try to make it seem like the Palestinians were upset for no reason. Like this was unprovoked. After the Nakba, when 600,000 Palestinians were shifted and removed from their lands into Gaza and the West Bank, this was 1948. So the people in Gaza today are not only refugees in their own lands, they're the descendants of refugees, meaning that they were born into that concentration camp. And the images have been horrifying. Now, I've never seen this many dead bodies, women, children, men, elderly, like of the Palestinian people in my whole life. Something like 5,000 children have been killed right now. And over 10,000 Palestinians in total are gone, erased from the earth. How are they justifying this? And I came across one video that really bothered me, and it was of this rabbi defining what a civilian is. What if they're defining civilians differently than the rest of the world? Us normal people, what's a civilian? It's a non-combatant. It's very simple. But for some of these people out there on Israel's side, they're defining civilian very differently. And I quote, if you tell a party that you're going to be destroyed if you don't leave the land, and you do not leave the land, you're no longer a civilian. That to me is a wild statement. There are a lot of men, women, children who are refusing to leave the land, and they are still civilians. You'll hear stories of, oh, Hamas is using the people as human shields. Okay, so if I take someone as a human shield, right, and I'm saying, don't shoot, there's an innocent human here, is your response to just shoot through the civilian and kill me? That's not a humanitarian response, right? So what we're seeing is entire hospitals, buildings, schools being killed with everyone else in them because one person on the opposite force might be in there. It's a war crime, and it's upsetting as hell. Another term that came up, humanitarian pause. It sounds so potentially good and official. Humanitarian pause. I mean, it's a humanitarian pause, right? That's got to be good. What that really is just a break from the killing. Israel is slaughtering the people in Gaza. And the most that people want to call for is a pause. It's like a bully beating up a kid and the teacher comes out and says, hey, give him 2 minutes to catch his breath and then continue. Another question that's getting thrown out here is no one wants to help the Palestinians. Why doesn't Egypt take them? Why doesn't Jordan take them? Imagine someone telling you to leave your home and then asking everyone watching, well, why doesn't such and such take him? Or their cousins over there, or their family over there. If it's your home, your land, you shouldn't be leaving in the first place. I just thought this would also be funny to show you because I find it so absurd. I'll just play this clip from Maze Vault.
This is a day in my life. We're at War Edition. After hearing that there was a major lack of gluten-free, celiac-safe food at army bases across the country, we got together with a gluten-free bakery in Jerusalem to make sure those soldiers got fed.
Okay, you're telling me that while they're conducting this genocide, they're running low on gluten-free bread? You're doing God's work. And while they're occupying Gaza and killing innocent civilians and children, you're making them that gluten-free bread that's fueling that energy. Because people in Gaza don't have water, food, electricity, and aid.
We all the members of the family share a little amount of food, 500 millimeters for the whole day.
Gaza is out of power. Hospitals are running out of fuel for their generators. There is little to no water.
But you, creating that day in the life vlog, the love in your heart is beaming.
I just felt like I had to say something. At the very least, maybe we can spark conversation and have a discourse about it and come to some understanding where people from both sides can get a better understanding of the truth